Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Meteor Dispatches. I'm saying the wrong thing again. This week in Meteor MeteorJS, a Meteor Dispatches podcast. This week, we're covering a number of different topics. We are giving you some insight into the keys to the kingdom, how you can become part of the Meteor Software family. So you want to stick around to find out a bit more about that. Storyteller will be giving us some updates as to what's been going on with the new releases, the latest releases, and contributions to the core as we get closer and closer to having an official release of Meteor 3.0. And have you ever played World of Warcraft or EVE Online? Well, this week we have some chats about, or a little discussion about, or news, I should say. Boy, I'm really not getting this straight today. About using Meteor to build some pretty big games. And on top of that, if you stick around towards the end, we're going to have a discussion about how we keep Meteor fresh and current with other technologies. And in this case, we'll be focusing on the release schedules and what that means to being able to stay on top of things and on time. So with that, I just want to say, welcome to the, what are we at now? The 12th episode of
Yes.
the podcast. You're watching or listening to This Week in MeteorJS, a weekly news segment of the MeteorJS Dispatches podcast. I'm your host, Alim Gafar, in New York City, storyteller.
Hello, I'm Dvorak, the storyteller from Prague, Czechia.
And Küster.
Küster from Bremen, but today I'm greeting you all from the terrific design lab at Twente University in Enschede, which I joined the last 3 days for a hackathon AI in education, because some of you might already know, and for those who don't, I will tell you, I'm working in the science sector, and I got the nice occasion to join this hackathon. But I will not stick to that too much today, because this news is about MeteorJS, right?
Well. Hold on a second here. I mean, I think we have a chance to gloat a little bit about things, because Jan, you're a little bit of a rock star today, aren't you? What happened at the hackathon?
Actually, the group I joined up with, or actually we were invited as a group from my research group. We joined up with another group from the Twente University, and we won. And so that was actually awesome. It was usually just a conceptual hackathon, but guys, trust me, MeteorJS played a role in it, because it helped me to hack together a prototype with MeteorJS and Blaze, because I'm much into Blaze, so it gave me the advantage of being very fast, being very quick, connected to the latest ChatGPT beta API at the end, and got some really interesting results. But that would blow the whole concept here if I would go into that much detail now. But thanks to Meteor, it was just as fast as possible to realize my idea. Or our idea. Sorry, that was not my idea, definitely. That was definitely our idea, but I was executing with Meteor fast and precise. Yeah.
So, I've been thinking about this for a while, because I've talked to somebody about a project I was going to work on, is trying to figure out how to use Meteor in some kind of machine learning environment. And I think, Jan, perhaps when you get some downtime or so on, maybe we could do some projects or so on a stream. Right?
Yeah, would be terrific.
Meteor and AI. I think that would be a really cool thing, right?
Yeah, and so, Python plays also a part in this.
Yeah. So I think the real neat part of this is you took two technologies that allow you to speed up development in very complex environments, right? Web or just general application development with Meteor, and then of course, if you're doing any kind of AI work, machine learning work, you have these large language models like ChatGPT that has an API that just makes it much easier to develop AI applications than if you were to do it from scratch. And
Definitely.
and I think like bringing the two of these things together is like, making a really good, meal. And so maybe we should think about doing a spin-off, another, YouTube program where we build some stuff with this, and then maybe we can get other people to do it too. And I think it would be kind of cool, right, to see Meteor there. We found out very late, a couple of years ago, that Meteor was being used as a tool for building infrastructure around blockchain. And then that kind of like, we as a Meteor community, we didn't know about this very much. The blockchain community was adopting it, using it, and then moving past it because they didn't really understand Meteor so much. But I think it's kind of cool. So it'd be nice to be able to give some really great examples of how Meteor can be used for building applications in the AI space to keep it relevant.
And
with
of
that,
course.
and with that, normally what we do now is we head into our feedback, but we really didn't get any last week. And so this week, I think we're just going to move past that and straight on into the news. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Küster, who has a few things to say.
Yes. So this is especially if you've ever wanted to be part of the Meteor core team. So this might be of the highest relevance to you if this is definitely the thing you want. Meteor Software is looking for a developer advocate. And this position or this offer is available on the Meteor forums or the link to it. And there's also some supplementary discussion around it. You should definitely check it out. It's all part of a much bigger plan, as they say. So I'm really interested how that's developing. And I can also say that in some elements, Storyteller and I are also somewhat involved, but you can read it up in the forum post. And there's definitely all information you need around there. And if you're well communicative and into technology, and especially into MeteorJS, this is definitely something you should check out.
And I want to add to that, by the way, that the last developer advocate they had was a guy named Felipe Nevola, and Felipe became the CEO. Now, I'm not saying that anybody that gets this job is going to take over Fred's job, but my point is that it's it certainly has been an influential position when it has been there before. And you certainly get a chance to meet a lot of people in the community, be able to share information about the goodness of Meteor. And I think as a past developer advocate from some other place before, I know that this can be a very fulfilling role for some people. So great way to get on the team.
Yes. Okay. And with that, I will just say for today goodbye, because I have to leave for the train to get back home. And I hope that I will be next week, be back in the stream with much more presence.
Well, it's great to see you. I'm sure you have like a big trophy that you have to take on the train with you, and that's going to be like extra luggage. But it's good having you here, Küster, and we'll see you next week.
Safe travels.
Safe travels.
Thank you. Bye.
Yes. Bye. And with that, let's get to the next item. Have you ever played World of Warcraft or EVE Online? If you have, you know that these massively multiplayer games are, pretty popular, and many of them have been going on for more than 10 years. What we want to just mention is that someone in the Meteor community has tried to build an application. A user called Skyrooms has an application that they've built called Forever in the Stars. And he's asking people to check it out, try it out. It's an alpha, from what I understand.
Yes, that's right.
And so he's looking for feedback. And I think it's pretty cool because most MMOs today are built on either Unity or Unreal. Even the web applications, the web versions of them will have some kind of engine behind it. And I think this is really neat that somebody is trying to do something really ambitious with Meteor this way. So if you can, pop over there, sign up, give it a try. It looks really promising.
Yes, and
Okay.
you can also see that he's playing it in his Tesla, and very, very different. Like I remember, like when I was back in high school and all that stuff, the web game I played was called Web Game.
Okay.
And it was just text, and I think it's still going in a very similar form to this day, at least last time I checked. So,
well, listen, if you are in your Tesla and you are playing this game, be careful, because if you're driving, you might end up forever in the stars yourself. And so let's move on to the next item. And you're going to get a blast of Storyteller going forward here, because Storyteller's got a few things he's going to chat about, and then we're going to transition into our features, where he'll take us in there too. So Storyteller, what's next?
okay, so some of you might know, and maybe some of you use this service called Railway. Let me just zoom a little bit up. It's say a hosting and deployment architecture with just a very nice animation website promotion with a lot of stuff. And if you go to forums, you'll notice there's quite old say post about hosting Meteor on it. And recently it got an update with a Docker file for Meteor. So if you want to use Railway for whatever reason, now you have here a very nice Docker file which you can use to deploy your Meteor application there, hopefully without much of a problems. So that's about Railway. I would also kind of like to really highlight that, as you know, this post is from 2021 and just recently got an update. So there's definitely people kind of working on this and making sure that it works nice. And again, shout out to Roy 2019 for updating here the information, making it easier for everybody else. So following on that, we had a discussion on the forums on updating ECMAScript from 2015 to 2023 version. And then Zodern chimed in, pretty much discussing what it would entail and how to do it. So if anybody's interested, they can do it themselves. The main point of this upgrade is to get down to the new juicy browser features to make it easier to access them in Meteor, and in a way reduce the bundle, because today a lot of the stuff that was implemented in Meteor was through polyfills, and of course the new node doesn't need that because they have adopted those features in core, or Babel has also made some updates. So that would be the benefit of getting that stuff and getting access to new stuff. The downside is that older browsers, and when I say older, I mean legacy browsers and old ones, would no longer work with Meteor. And that would be one of the big things that would have to be really kind of balanced here, how much of the new stuff we put in and how much we stick with supporting the older browsers. And some of this is like really old stuff, right? Like with Node 8. So it would be updating it, for Node 14 for Meteor 2, and then Node 20 for Meteor 3. So if you are interested or want to provide some feedback on this, head over to the forums and you can join in on the discussion. Or if you are ambitious, pull requests are welcome. And
Excellent.
the next one is we are getting, of course, back to what's happening with Meteor itself. We have a new topic about what's left until an official Meteor 3.0 version, which pretty much takes over the normal release or like weekly releases of information, which pretty much, it's very nice here from the Nielsen kind of outlining here all the issues that are known or stuff that is known that will have to be worked on. Also, as you can see with the icons here showing if somebody is already working on it. And pretty much all of this needs, or most of this, I would say like 95% needs to be checked to release the Meteor 3.0 version. Here we have like stuff for Blaze, Alpha, and Beta. This is probably going to grow, but at the same time as we kind of work towards Meteor 3, it's also going to shrink. So definitely, check this out, provide feedback, or if you are ambitious, jump in and help out with the process. Speaking of which, kind of hinted at it, Meteor 3.0 will be upgraded to Node 20. And that is, well, because Node 20 is now in a stable part and moving to long-term support soon. I think maybe if it's not ready, let me double check here with our favorite sites. So, so it's now the current version. And I believe it's, let us check the release schedule. So it's now in the active part, and it will be then maintained all the way up till, looks like May 2026. Let me zoom that in for you. So yeah, that's, I would say, good news that we have Meteor 3 with Node 20. Also, that means we'll have also NPM 10. And another thing that was mentioned, let's see, I think not, it was on the forums, was that besides everything, there are going to be more migration tools. And also the Meteor software team is considering on bringing 3 packages, community packages, to the core. These are Meteor migrations, Meteor synchrone, and Meteor collection hooks. So, which I am actually quite excited, because right now for Meteor collection hooks, we are managing that in Meteor community packages. So if that was taken by the core team, that would be one less thing for us to worry about and more time for other packages.
Are these packages that that you've heard from members that they've been asking for a long time?
So yes, Meteor migrations and Meteor synchrone are from the Percolate packages, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And I have had some pull requests towards them to update them. Synchrone requires a lot of love, I think, before it can be adopted into core. And it's one thing that has been long time, people saying, oh, we need, official migration package, official cron package would be nice. I'm not that much sold on synchrone, because we have also from Max Sabin his Steve Jobs package, which I use. So that's a matter of preference. But for the Percolate migration, I would say that's kind of the de facto package that people go to. And for Meteor collection hooks, that one is also very commonly used. And in a way has been also long outstanding issues where some people advocate it should be part of the core, just because of the utility and how it's used. So and with collection hooks, it's like, you have journal function that says, after you update this specific collection, then run this function, or before you do that, run this function and stuff like that. So
yeah, it certainly sounds like something that should be part of the core offering.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, terrific. Before we move on, I just want to add a couple of things. One is we've been working behind the scenes to bring some guests in. We've had a couple so far in terms of coming in and helping out with the program, as Gabriel did when we were talking about the migration. But we've also had others come on and talk about their contributions, the packages that they've worked on, etc. And we're doing more of that. We're bringing, just to give you a little bit of a preview, we've reached out to Sasha Grief, Kelly Copley, Max Savin, who we talked about earlier, Kevin Newman, and Lori from Wecken, and we've gotten commitments from some of them on this, but many of them will be coming on to talk about the projects that they've worked on, why they're meaningful, why they continue to work on it, and give some insight into what it's like to work on an open source project and give back to the community. And so we hope that that's something that you're looking forward to. We're looking forward to having them on, and they're really great people who have done a lot of work. And then we have a list of others that we're reaching out to that we're going to bring in. It's not going to be every week. It'll be every few weeks or so we'll have somebody on. But we hope that that variety will be interesting to you and will be something that you look forward to.
Yes,
Okay.
I would also like add to this, Alim, to the audience. You can help us as well. Let us know in the feedback who you would like to see on, and not just maybe like, for a quick segment here, but also maybe for a long interview. And then, like, share, and subscribe to our channel, make us go bigger, so that then we have easier time of convincing people to come here.
Okay, well, head on over to the next section now. Some useful resources. Oh, I was going to do that. All right. Well, as you know, a few weeks back, we talked about Awesome Meteor, a project that had been, started, abandoned, and now picked up again. And it's a place where we try to aggregate as many useful resources that we can share in one location, and it's on a GitHub repo, of different things that could be valuable to you as a Meteor developer. Now, we're still looking for additional contributions for that, and we probably should bring it up week in, week out, just to remind you that, by the way, if you run into something, if you find a company that's using Meteor that we don't know about, put a pull request in over there or something, right? Just let us know something about it. And in relation to this is another resource that Storyteller found quite recently that you might find very useful, and it relates to node security. And so there is this site called, what is it? Awesome Node?
Awesome Node.js Security. It's
Awesome Node.js Security. And why don't I share the spotlight here with Jan for a bit, because he came across this and he had some ideas about the value in it. And so let me allow him to share his thoughts about this this list.
Yeah. So we often say that, especially when it comes to scaling everything, it's no different than any Node.js application, because in a sense, Meteor is Node.js framework. So what you are going to read in this, awesome list, a lot of the times is also applicable to Meteor itself. That could be, the different ESLint plugins, or, for example, here the Helmet package for HTTP headers. Obviously, not everything, like here Blanky, which is for Happy, which Meteor doesn't use, so that's not going to help you. But there's a lot of other things that are applicable to Meteor and web development in general as well, especially as we go more down towards here. It has also a section about security incidents and that you should be aware. So overall, and of course then further learning resources and articles, very good list of, and for example here, if it says like top 11 Node.js security best practices, most often you can also use those practices in Meteor as well.
So I have something to add here, which is one of the things you might want to do is try some of these things out yourself and see if they are applicable to Meteor. And then report back, write an article, make a forum post, get in touch with us, let us know. Maybe we can bring you on and share your experiences in using some of these resources so that others can benefit from what you've learned. I think it's very difficult for any one person to go through everything and to know everything about all of these things, but collectively we can share our experiences and our learning with each other. And I think this is a great place to start with regard to security. When I bring Lori on from Wecken, one of the things we will be talking about at some point, maybe not at that particular episode, but at a future episode that we do just as an interview together, is talking about Meteor security, because he has a significant collection of best practices that we can use there. And so, if we get somebody else that has some other experiences that we can add to it, collectively, we can help everyone who has a Meteor application that is concerned about making sure that their apps are as secure as possible. I was trying to find a synonym, but I think that will do. To the extent that you can do it, if we have these tools and others know how to use them and where to find them, I think that's a great thing. So I want to thank Storyteller for bringing this to our attention this week. I think this is great for the community, and all of these will begin in the description below, in the show notes. Later on today or tomorrow, we'll get them in, and then we'll share them with you. And with that, I am going to pass the baton again to my friend Storyteller. He has some shout outs that he wants to talk about.
Yes, I want to shout out Rocket Chat, which is a Meteor company. And what they did build what I think anybody who started with Meteor, especially back in the days, thought, oh, this makes creating chat applications super simple. So they actually went and did it, built a amazing chat service similar to Slack, but open source and easily deployable on your premises. I'm using it for both of my companies. I'm very happy with it, and hopefully we can do more with them in the future. So if you are looking, for chat services like Slack, maybe you want to save some money instead on Slack and want to support a Meteor company, then I would definitely recommend checking out Rocket Chat as well.
Rocket Chat's a pretty sophisticated application. It's enterprise level application, and it's something that is very, very polished. So when you look at it, if you didn't know it was built on Meteor, you would think that this is some other commercial product that you could get. So it's really worth seeing. It's really worth using. It's really worth playing around with, because it also gives you an idea of what you can do with Meteor. And I think one of the things we'd like to do is, I think we're reaching out also to the Rocket Chat people, that they could share their development experiences and so on, so that you can use that wisdom to build, and have the confidence to build very secure, very large scale, real-time applications that, for your business or for your use cases. So anyway, I think that was pretty good, and I'm looking forward to seeing these guys there.
Absolutely. And now, Alim, we have to fulfill the promise we gave on the forums and some other posts when we were posting information about this episode. So
yeah, we were having a chat not too long ago, Storyteller and I, about the release schedules on things, and the fact that Meteor 3 is going to be on Node 20, and it was very exciting, right? Because the goal initially was to get to Node 18, and we thought that was pretty good. But when I was looking at the release schedules for or how the Node.js team releases, I noticed that they're on these, I think they're 18-month schedules. I'm sorry,
yes,
is it 18 months? They're 18 months.
The release schedule right here back.
Yeah. So they basically roll in an 18-month schedule until something goes to LTS, and then a new version takes over, right?
Yes,
And
it's so to kind of show this on
well, they have it
example
at the
of,
bottom there. Yeah.
yes, let's go with Node 20. It's currently now in active development, but Node 21 is the current version. So like every other version, it has a shorter current state and development and maintenance, because every other version is more for getting in the new feature, testing them, and playing with them.
Yeah.
And then the version after that is, you could say,
Yeah.
conservative. It doesn't add anything really new unless it's needed,
Right.
and it's more focused on stability.
So the odd numbers are the experimental, as I think they classify them, and then
Yes.
and then the even numbers are the stable versions. And one of the things that it allows them to do is it allows them to communicate very effectively to their user community, what you can expect and when you can expect it and how you can plan. And I think that's, they're a very mature organization at this point. They're a very mature project. And they kind of have to do this because, if you're a CTO and you're responsible for applications in your environment and their revenue making, you want to have some insight as to when changes are coming and when you need to start thinking about moving on to the next version. And that kind of insight allows you to plan well and to say, okay, I am going to adopt this. And if I adopt this technology, then I'm pretty assured, that I know when I need to do things. And I think that this is something that, when we were chatting together, I think on Tuesday, no, it was Wednesday, Storyteller, because Tuesday was election day, and I was working all day as an election official. But when you have this, I think it can do wonders for adoption. And so we thought that that there's some benefits to this if Meteor were to adopt sort of like a similar timeline. Could be 18 months, could be something else, but to keep the versions in track so that we'll always be on the latest version of Node. And at the same time, by doing that, it also broadcasts a message to the user community that, hey, after a certain period of time, we're moving off this version onto the next. And so it's really transparent to the rest of the community about what you're going to need to do to prepare and what your timeline needs to be. So that was a thought I had, but I'm sure there's some differing thoughts on this or some drawbacks to doing this kind of planning. And
Yes.
I think do you have some ideas as to what the counterpoints might be, or some?
In general, up to this, or still we are operating. We are releasing, or kind of the open source community. Most of the time, the releases, it will be released when it's ready.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the big thing, especially in the beginning, the problem could be that we just have bad releases because we haven't had time, to do all the necessary checking and all that stuff. Or we'll have, let's say, underwhelming releases because it will be like, okay, we need to really get to the deadline. We have deadlines, so let's not include anything more that we would normally include, and kind of wait longer. Another thing is, with this regard, you have to have the apparatus of releases really well working. So it's say easy, and it's it is not more work than it's worth. So that's one, you could say, kind of counter argument.
Sure.
Another thing is, Node is very mature, but it also has a lot of people behind it, and we might not necessarily have the, say, manpower to push it through in this manner. But personally, what I think, yes, I think this is something to aspire and head forward.
Yeah.
You could say, well, Meteor 3 is by its nature going to be quite an experimental release, just given the nature of how everything changes.
Yeah.
So in a way, once we go to Meteor 4, it's going to be more stable in that aspect, unless there's like again another major change.
Yeah.
And then of course it's a question of how people are going to react to it. I think especially once we have this, then they will have to adapt to okay, I will have to do the updates, and if we keep up with kind of the backward compatibility as we had till Meteor 3, then it should be fine. But I can see that people will be screaming, some people again, about constantly updating, and why can it just not work with the old version and stuff like that.
So version management in terms of backward compatibility issues, and of course personnel, having the right amount of personnel, the ability to make those commits, and then of course whether or not the results are overwhelming or underwhelming, as you said before, because you're just trying to match a schedule rather than match the ambition of where we want to go with Meteor, right? So those are 4 points. I have a couple points I want to make here, which is, the question is, Node has its own timeline, and partly because it's its own thing. It has no real dependencies, and whereas Meteor is built on a lot of different dependencies, right? So you've got front-end dependencies, you've got the runtime, you also have the data store, right? So, the question is, should we really match it up against Node, or should we be matching it against MongoDB's timeline, right? Because MongoDB does drive a lot of what goes on there. So I think that there, and then of course, React has updates. What do we do about that? Do we just put those on minors, or are there major version updates that we need to do in order to make sure that we support, whether or not it's server-side components or whatever it might be that might be a new feature in React? I'm not saying server-side components I think have been around for a bit now, but my point though is that what do you actually say should be the baseline for tracking, and if you take one, how do you deal with the others? That creates a certain degree of complexity, and a question as to is that the right thing to track against? So it looks like we may have a comment in.
Yeah, I am highlighting it right
Michael
now.
Sharp. I'll pop him up. Okay, and hang on a second.
Yes, there.
So one of the things I loved about Meteor is its stability and not constantly updating. So that goes back to your point, Storyteller, about one of the key issues that people may have about doing an update. So I encourage anybody that's interested in this to also pop into the chat. We're also monitoring the Slack at this point to see if there are any additional comments on this. But I do think that it is, as Storyteller says, something we should aspire to is finding a tempo that creates some kind of visibility, some kind of transparency, so that you can plan. And hang on, another point that Michael Sharp makes is updating dependencies is different from new major releases. Michael, could you elaborate on that a little bit on the chat so we can really get a sense of what you're saying here? So
Yeah,
let's see if
that's like one big thing, because when people look that oh, you have so many major releases, what's going on there? Are you constantly pushing it? And I was like looking, okay, I will have to constantly rewrite my application, make changes, and be more in the technical aspects instead of focusing on my building my application and what I want to do. That's one thing. But I think what's happening kind of with the Node is first of all, it's I would say relatively long release process, but they've kind of taught people, okay, this is periodical. This doesn't mean that there are breaking changes with every release.
Right.
So that's.
But there could be, right? In
Yeah.
the case of fibers for us, right?
Yeah, for
So
example.
yes. So I think there's certain things that we need to be mindful of, where, if we don't stay on top of it, or we're not tracking closely with it, then we could find ourselves in trouble, right? And then find ourselves falling back. There are two things that I want to hit here, and they're perception issues. And Kelly has something I'm going to pop in here. We're not going to talk about this right away because I think you brought it up, but we'll go back to this in a second. But one is perception, which is, and I think that this has come up again and again, when we haven't had significant releases for a very long time, the impression out in the rest of the community is like, Meteor's dead. There's nothing happening, right? Nobody's doing anything. And so you try to balance that against stability, right? Well, Meteor is a very, mature project. It works very well. There's really not a lot of reason to do updates on a regular basis unless we're doing bug fixes or new feature releases. So there's I think this tendency to try to find a balance between finding a release cycle that addresses, well, we need to take care of these types of issues, the basic maintenance issues that go on, and perhaps some new product development, as well as answering the question as to, okay, well, if we don't see a lot of activity here, we're going to just move on to the next project that is seeing activity, because if there's no activity, I don't know if I want to rest my career on this, right? Because maybe this is a dead project. So, I know that that's not answering an engineering question, that's answering a perception question, but that is the reality of the space that we're in. Engineers move to things where there's action, and things where there's not a lot of action, the true believers stick around and the others start moving on. So that is a concern. Kelly mentioned backward compatibility being an issue with, I guess, Kelly, what you're saying is that we need to be mindful of backward compatibility as we try to move forward, because if we just keep on adopting things and not think about that, we could break backward compatibility with existing applications. Do I have that correct? Okay, and let me pop this back off here, and updating depends. Maintenance is activity. Yes, maintenance is activity. Maintenance is activity, and I agree with that.
Yeah, but try to explain that to the C-suite people who are kind of chasing the shiny, or developers who are chasing the shiny. That is important. And it's like, why are you not having new features, and why you have such a low version number even though we have been around for 7 years. So that's that. But I would also like to maybe put one here, is that today world is very rapid, and there's constantly new security vulnerabilities and issues. So I think there's also kind of need of kind of put in the mindset that there are going to be upgrades. You will have to deal with that, because part of it is also for your own security. Because there's constantly, some, as I said, some security issues and other things happening as well.
Yeah. So this has been a good discussion. I think Kelly wrapped up what you were saying pretty nicely here. And you need innovation or you become irrelevant. So yeah, completely agree with that. So again, I think at the end of the day, there's this balance that we have to kind of figure out in terms of development cycles. But I think the key point that I think we come back to again and again here is that having some level of transparency, some level of predictability in terms of the schedule, where you just kind of like know what the parameter is, allows businesses to plan around it much more effectively than.
Alim, on that point, I sorry to interrupt you here. This actually was, I think it might have been in the one of the discussions, but somebody asked, okay, when is Meteor 3 coming out?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, right now, these days, it's coming out when it's ready to come out.
Yeah.
So as much as, maybe we want to have a long development cycle, but at the same time, if we have like a schedule,
Yeah.
That's when we are going to release. And these are like major releases. This is not the feature or minor releases that are happening during that development cycle. At which even with Node, they are, whenever it's ready, it will be released as well.
Yeah, I think there's a point here though that we're dancing around, right? I mean, in the case of 3.0, right, it's there was a breaking change. We're jumping from 14 to 20. It's a big move, and there are a lot of other things that are being affected by it. We've never planned for this before, so it's one of those things where I say, look, as you said, this can be aspirational, right? It doesn't mean that we're going to get there right away. It doesn't mean that we're going to be able to, but I think that having this ability to plan, makes it a little easier in terms of adoption, because other people have to answer for things, right? So if you're running a business, you're going to have to answer to your CEO if it's a big business. And hang on, everybody's excited about Signals. I don't know very much about Signals, so do you know about this? Oh, Tracker.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So just substitute Tracker for Signals, and that's like the big thing that people are talking about these days, and we've already had it. Interesting. All right. I think we want to try to be mindful of the time. We're over our 45-minute, self-imposed limit. So let me just bring it back to where we're supposed to be on the schedule. And thank you guys for participating in the discussion. I'm sure this is a larger discussion that probably should be taken up someplace on the forums and continued.
Yes, I am posting the link to the forums as we speak.
Yep. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We've gotten to over 100 subscribers, so yay. But we're trying to keep on build this community, right? Get it bigger, get more people involved in Meteor and participating not just in this, but we try to get them here to bring them into the rest of the community, where they'll participate in the forums, on Slack, and so on. Build applications with Meteor. Tell us your horror stories, and help the development team.
Looks like I'm
bring benefits to users. So and with that, I just want to hang on. What else do we have to say here? Okay, so that's my basic reminder. Also, that open source is developed often on the developers' time and their own dime. They do this very often out of their pocket. This is something where some companies will actually have time set aside for developers to do work, but it's not the common case everywhere. Larger companies that have the resources can do that, but we do have a number of independent software developers that are just basically doing this because they believe that giving back is a worthwhile effort. I've been brought up that way, and that's why I keep doing this for over 10 years now. And I think Jan is sort of the same way. But what I do want to mention is we have GitHub sponsors or sponsorship opportunities for both the Jan brothers, Dvorak, as well as Küster. And so I encourage you to check the show notes and to click on that and to, buy them a cup of coffee or something. Just show your appreciation, because they do a lot of work to keep this community moving and keep this project moving. And the other thing I would like to say is that, if you have it in you to join in this open source project and make some contributions yourself, it could be documentation, it could be articles, it could be YouTube videos, it could be contributions and pull requests to the core and to the community packages. Whatever it is, we encourage you to participate, join us, and let us all make Meteor a much better platform than it is today, and keep it going for the next 10 years. So with that, I'm going to say...
I have one more thing to add before you forget.
Sure.
On Tuesday, we have our introductory live stream into Meteor 3.0. Well, me and Jana are going to cover kind of the big overview. So just want to shout out. Also, just put it into the chat as well for people to go in and put a reminder for themselves.
Is that the deep dive?
Yes, it's the,
Okay.
let's say, kind
the
of
road to
skimming deep
3.0?
dive, the initial one.
In the Road to 3.0 series.
Yes.
Okay, that's exciting. That's coming this Tuesday. So please put it on your calendars. Join in. If you go to the link if you go to the YouTube site, there is a section there where you can get notified when the episode drops. So please go and participate. And it's a live event, I believe.
Yes, it will be live.
All right. Okay, so do we have anything else to add before we say goodbye for the weekend?
No. Have a nice, fall weekend.
Enjoy. All right, take care, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Okay.